Rokrbox is a US-based ISA company. For us at Easy Home Search, it's an exciting partnership because it's part of our offerings with full county exclusivity now. We have the option to include Rokrbox to call all those buyers, call those sellers, and make live transfers to teams. I had the opportunity to talk to Josh the last couple of days in Salt Lake City at spring break. Had lots of great conversation. It was really cool to learn about Josh's, I call it his real estate story, and how he founded his company and why he does a lot of things he does with his ISAs. And I don't think he's necessarily here to talk a whole lot about the ISA piece, but he does a lot of things that are really unique versus other ISA companies out there. But he does it all around his push for culture. He also gifted me this book, which I had the opportunity to read on a red eye flight last night that I could not sleep on. And culture is the key. He uses culture to drive controllable growth. And I think a lot of companies talk about culture, but they don't really talk about what they're doing to drive culture. So that's what I think is unique about Josh's story and what he's doing over at Rokrbox. So with that, I'm going to shut up and hand it off to Josh.
Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. It was an absolute pleasure to get to connect with you in Salt Lake City this week. Super jazzed up and excited to be here and kind of walk everybody through this process of, what culture means to me, what it means to a lot of other people, but more importantly, how you can use that as the foundation to grow a phenomenal organization on. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we get into business for freedom. And some days you wake up and you realize that you've built this prison or this trap that you are obligated to go and show up to every day, and that's not a lot of fun. And so ultimately the goal for entrepreneurship is to earn freedom in your life, whether that's freedom to hang out with your kids or freedom to build 20 businesses or freedom to sit on the beach and sip some pina coladas, whatever you want. But ultimately culture to me is that key that's unlocked a lot of freedom in my life. And I see how that impacts other business owners and entrepreneurs as well. So that's my goal today, is to share some insights with you, some direct experiences and some learning lessons that we've gone through here at Rokrbox. So I'm gonna do a little screen share here. Let me know if you guys can see that. Is that working properly? Okay, great. We're going to kind of go through some slides today, and then I really want to dive deeper into some Q&A to get some interaction with the audience here, to learn a little bit more about what your guys are struggling with most, and what we can do to kind of help guide you through some of those opportunities in your business to gain some more profits and freedom. And so today I'm going to share with you the Rokrbox story, the good, the bad, and the lessons that have shaped a lot of the growth and develop in our world. We're going to talk about some culture tools that actually work, not some big, huge 180. You don't have to dump your business on top of its head and completely clean out all the drawers and all the talent, but just some simple, practical, easy pivots that you can make in your business that will create more profits and freedom in your life. And then, like I said, I want to leave a lot of time here at the end to just have a live conversation with the audience and learn about what's holding you back from the life and the business that you deserve. And then for those of you who stay till the very end, I've got a free gift for you. So stick around. We'll save that for the end, but Travis already kind of gave it away. I've got a book. It was published last year. It's called Culture is the Key: How to Unlock Master Profits and Freedom. And so it's for sale on Amazon or Barnes & Noble for $20. But my gift to you today, for those of you who stick around to the very end, is I'm going to give you a free copy. We'll send one in the mail to you. So before we kind of begin this miniature journey together, I'd like to kind of share a little bit more about myself with you, so you can kind of understand the perspective that I'm coming from. I'm actually an 80s baby. I grew up in a trailer park in the middle of nowhere in Kansas. And my father worked the kill floor of a beef plant so that he could save up money for my mom and my dad to go to college. And their key to exiting poverty was that college degree. It allowed them to become teachers. So I grew up, both my parents were school teachers. So, they weren't high income producers by any means, but they did have a lot of time and a lot of love to give to my sister and I. So they really built and instilled those foundational work ethics that I'm very proud of having today. But something that I heard quite often as a kid, maybe some of you have heard this before, is, no, kids, we can't afford that because money doesn't grow on trees. And so I knew at a very young age that if I wanted more freedom in my life, if I wanted more excitement, that I was going to have to kind of take life by the horns and create my own luck. And I always like to say that the definition of luck is when preparedness meet opportunity. So my entrepreneurial journey really began back in the 90s during the dot-com boom. There's a nice old picture of me back in Y2K, year 2000. My dad was a computer programmer during the dot-com boom and was a part of many different entrepreneurial startups. And so, like many kids, you want to grow up to be just like dad. So I took a couple computer programming classes in high school because I thought that that's what I wanted to do. And I very quickly found that it wasn't the code that I wanted to write. It was more that creative element, that innovation, that excitement to come up with an idea and dream it into reality. And so I very quickly realized that computer programming wasn't going to be my path. And so I kind of took the shift there before I entered school and went to Texas A&M and got a degree in entrepreneurial business management. And so after graduation, I had a lot of entry level, just kind of cruddy, entry level college graduate jobs. Nothing that was very fulfilling. Nothing that gave me a lot of satisfaction in my work, and so felt very underappreciated, and just overall had a lack of fulfillment in a lot of the positions that I was in. And so it all kind of took a significant turn on a very lucky trip to Las Vegas. How many of you guys like to do Las Vegas out there? So it wasn't a hitting the jackpot. It wasn't a lucky hand at 21. Instead, I was at a real estate conference back in 2011. I met this guy right here. For those of you who don't know him, that's Frank Klesitz, the founder and CEO of Viral Marketing. And we connected at this conference and really just kind of hit it off, talking about business and entrepreneurship, sales and marketing. And I was really excited and enthusiastic about what he was doing with real estate agents to help them create video content to stay top of mind and increase their referral and repeat business. So I literally reached out on his Facebook wall and I said, "Hey, how can I work for Viral Marketing from College Station?" Because he was based in Omaha, I was based in College Station. So you can see right there, there's the timestamp, August 23rd, 2011. I said, "Hey, how can I join this mission? How can I join this exciting path?" And that decision, that to take that leap of faith, led to one of the most expensive and one of the most unique educations in the real estate space. Because for the next year, next two or 3 years actually, Frank and I had the opportunity to travel the country, going to all these different real estate seminars and events, and learning not only what made the successful agents successful, but also learning what keeps them up at night. Right? What are the gaps and the voids in their business that were causing them to lose sleep or have frustration or not have any satisfaction in their life? And so it was interesting because a lot of these rooms that I was in, nearly 80% of these mastermind groups or these conferences or these seminars I was in, I heard of one very common frustration voiced over and over and over again. And maybe you can guess what it is, considering we're here on a webinar today about lead gen. But the biggest pain point that we uncovered was speed to lead and follow up. And so it was kind of painted very clear in my mind that any good entrepreneur finds a problem and figures out how to solve it. Well, I had found the problem. Right, here's all these successful real estate agents and entrepreneurs that are struggling with speed to lead and follow up. And so I thought, if someone can figure out a way how to solve that, there's already quite a bit of demand for it. So about 13 years ago, I was working with one of my clients through Viral Marketing. Her name is Spring Benson. We were just at her big event this week. What do you think about that picture right there, Travis? That's quite a little bit different than the team that she has now, but that was Spring's team 13 years ago. It was Spring right there in the middle. For those of you who don't know, springb.com or Spring Benson. She has a huge real estate empire now, a huge coaching organization, many ancillary businesses, and probably has like 80 or 90 different real estate agents on her team. This is what the team looked like 13 years ago. So Spring had this small real estate team. She had an admin, she had a buyer's agent, and a Boomtown account, and a lot of the same frustrations that a lot of these other lead generators had. And so one day we were sitting in a Boomtown mastermind, and she was pretty fed up with all the money she was just kind of throwing at this problem and not finding any solutions. And so someone raised the idea that, hey, instead of giving the leads to the agents, what you should do is hire an inside sales assistant or an ISA. And so I turned to Spring. I said, hey, that's what you should do. And she's like, Josh, sounds much harder, said than done. Why don't I hire you and you can help me do this? So that's exactly what I did. So I bought a one-way ticket to Utah, flew out to Salt Lake City, spent 2 months working with Spring, actually living in her unfinished basement and showing up to work with her every single day. She hired an ISA. Her name was Carly. And it was my role and my duty to train Carly on all the, hypothetical models that would help convert these leads into hot opportunities for the agents. And so we spent about 2 months doing that. We implemented all the systems, all the processes, all the scripts, all the dialogues, and got to a point where it was a very successful system now. So Spring cut me a check for a consulting gig, said, "Hey, thanks for your help." I flew back to Texas, and about a week or two later, she calls me up. She's like, "Josh, I've got bad news." Like, "What's that?" She's like, "Well, the system works, right? The ISA is warming up these opportunities. She's handing them off to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent's doing a great job closing some deals. We already got some under contract." It's like, "Okay, well, what's wrong?" It's like, "Well, Carly just walked into my office and said, 'Hey, guess what? I just signed up for real estate classes. I want to become an agent now.'" And so there we were back at square one, having this, facing the same problem. Who's going to call the leads now? And that's when I kind of realized that what the industry really needs is not necessarily more training, but they really crave and need a permanent, done for you, turnkey ISA solution. And so that was when I was more determined than ever to set out on a mission to figure out what was the best investment of human capital to generate the greatest return from these internet leads. And so I came back to College Station and I said, "You know what? This is going to be my full-time mission now. I'm going to figure out how to solve this problem once and for all." And so proud to say that here we are 13 years later. We've accomplished quite a bit in those 13 years. Since then, we've handled millions of internet leads. We've actually hired and trained over 430 inside sales assistants. And that's all 100% US based talent. And just last year alone, we made over 2 million phone calls in 2025. So quite a bit of experience to speak from here today. And again, this has been our one focus. This has been our one thing, so to speak, that we've been focused on for a long time now to really help agents free up more time and close more deals and make sure that they're getting the maximum ROI from all these marketing dollars that you're investing in. So again, that's where our experience comes from today. One of the most common questions that I get right off the bat is, "Josh, where in the heck does this name Rokrbox come from?" For those of you who don't know, a Rokrbox is no gold mining tool used to separate sand and gravel from gold. And essentially, that's what we're doing with your internet leads. So not everybody that opts into a home search website is serious and motivated and ready to buy now, but there's a great process that goes through uncovering those golden opportunities and getting the sand and the gravel out of the way. And so that's exactly what we do. And so there's really three critical keys to our success that our clients really love about us. The first one is our system for converting these registrations into opportunities. And like Travis said, we're not going to talk a lot about this today, but just to kind of give you a glimpse into what we do for those of you who are easy home search partners and you've got exclusive counties, these are the things that are going to happen to your leads on a daily basis, 7 days a week. We call leads within seconds of registration. We call them 7 times in the first week. We call them another 7 times in the first month, up to 14 phone call attempts to every single lead that registers on your website. For leads who are 3 to 12 months from buying, those are the ones that typically slip through the cracks because your agents forget about them. We call them 3 times every month. And then for the leads that are more than 12 months away, we're calling those leads 3 times every quarter until they're ready for that live transfer. And then we also have a lot of other campaigns to help monetize those older leads in your database. We can make thousands of phone calls to the older leads in the database. But the key there is just a ton of phone calls, right? The phone calls that we know the agents aren't going to be able to make because they're busy showing homes or negotiating contracts or hosting open houses or speaking with clients. And so that's why our system is such a reliable way to maximize your ROI. Now, the second key to our success is really our talent. And so I mentioned that we're 100% US based. We're actually located in College Station, Texas, which is home to Texas A&M University. Not sure if you've ever heard any good Aggie jokes, but it is actually a very prestigious university. Pretty much all the smart kids in Texas, they either go to Austin to be a Longhorn or they come to College Station to be an Aggie. And so that's where our core talent pool is. There's 70,000 students right across the street, which allows us to be incredibly selective in our hiring process. A couple things that I want to highlight here. We do disc assess our callers to make sure they've got a really high eye in their personality, someone who's never, uh, always the life of the party, never a dull moment. But one of the other things I want to highlight here, and this is sort of one of our teaching points today, is one of our culture tools, and this is our observation. Um, and to go back and kind of tell you the story beyond this is back in 2015 when the business really started growing and accelerating, we were serving a lot of demand, we were hiring a lot of employees, and we basically, would just take people through those first few steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end of the in-person interview, we'd be like, well, this person's great. They're going to be awesome on the phone. Let's hire them and let's bring them in for their first day of training. And that was kind of working for a while until one day we hired this young man, brought him in for his first day of training, and we paired him up with his trainer. Her name was McKinley, and so she starts walking him through. Here's the dialer that we use, and this is the CRM that we use, and this is the script, and these are all the objection handlers, and this is all the rejection you're going to face. And she starts going through the process, and about 15 minutes in the shift, let's call this guy Doug, right? So Doug, 15 minutes in the shift, he's just getting totally overwhelmed with all this stuff that we're doing. And he politely asks, McKinley, where's the restroom? She's like, oh, it's down the hallway to the left. So he goes down the hallway to the left. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. Finally, McKinley's like, hey, could one of the guys go to the bathroom and check on Doug? He said he was going to the bathroom. It's been like 15 minutes now. I'm not sure where he's at. And so sure enough, one of the guys goes down the hallway, down to the left, looks under the stalls. There's nobody there. Poof, he had disappeared off the face of the planet. And it was at that point that we kind of realized that we had failed Doug. We had also failed McKinley, our trainer, as well, because we didn't set the right expectations for what this job entailed. And so again, everybody's always going to show you the best version of themselves in an interview. Like nobody ever shows up to an interview and is like, I don't really want to get this job. Right? They're going to show up, they're going to answer all the questions enthusiastically, they're going to put their best foot forward. But the observation is one of the most important pieces in our hiring processes. And this is one of the culture tools I'd like to share with you right off the bat, because each of us has a very unique organization. We have a very unique culture. We have a very unique level of productivity that we expect of our people. And your standards are what you're going to tolerate. And so it's very important that before you actually make someone a job offer, that they have a very clear understanding of what those expectations are. So at the end of our in-person interview, what we tell our candidates is, hey, been really impressed with your interview and your answers to today's questions. The next step in our interview process is to bring you back for an observation. This is going to be your interview of us. So we want you to ask as many questions as possible and walk away with a really clear picture as to what the day in, day out activities look like here at Rokrbox. And so we bring them in for one of our shift huddles, so they get to see how we recognize our team. They get to see our objection handling and our role play practice. They get to see how we set our goals and listen about the updates of the contests and the things that we have going on. And then for the next hour, they're actually paired up with one of our callers, and they're listening into the calls that they're making, and they're going to see what a success looks like. But more importantly, they're going to hear and feel what that rejection is going to feel like, right? Because one of the things that clients love about us is not only are we handing off all the yeses, but we're absorbing all the nos. Many agents don't want to get on the phone and call leads because they have lead fatigue. They get on the phone one time, they get their teeth kicked in. They're like, I don't like that. That's not very good. So again, one of the things that our clients love about us is not only are we handing off the golden opportunities and handing off the yeses, but we're also absorbing all those nos. And so our callers have to know that that's part of the job. So that's one of the first culture tools that I wanted to share with you today. Each and every one of you, I'm sure, are hiring and growing your team or replacing people that have turned over. So I would highly recommend you have an observation in place in your hiring process so that you're really painting the picture very clearly about what the expectations are in your organization. So that's been one of the hugest keys in our business, and it's helped us really weed out. We probably get to that point in the interview process, we probably weed out another 40% of the people, because either 20% of them we never hear from ever again. So at the end of the observation, we say, I'm going to send you an email, give me a response within 24 hours, let us know how you feel about the opportunity. Probably 20% of them we won't even hear from. And then the other 20%, maybe are like just not that enthusiastic, like, yeah, I'm still interested or something along those lines. But the people that we really want in our organization, and you can see right here in the screen share, I know it's kind of small print here, they're basically writing us like a persuasive essay on why they're magnetically attracted to our organization. And who would have ever thought that we could literally get people begging us to make phone calls each and every day? Again, the business was created off of doing the work that other people didn't want to do, but we've created a path and created an opportunity for people to go, this is exactly what I want to do. This is the type of organization that I want to be a part of. This is the type of group of people that I want to be around each and every day, because they're going to push me and help me grow and become a better version of myself. Because again, these are all college students, so they're looking to create more experiences and talents that will open up doors in their young professional career. And so that's kind of how we bet on that future turnover. Like, we know that eventually they're going to graduate and they're going to move on, but it's fine because we're going to borrow their talents and we're going to grow together and give them an opportunity to really build some real world tangible skills. So again, as each and every one of you are constantly recruiting, you're constantly bringing new people in your organization, I would highly recommend you have something like an observation in place or a shadow day where people can really come in and feel what it's like to work there. So that's the second key, is making sure we've got really good talent. And then the last thing here that we really like to talk about is our culture. And this is what I say is our secret sauce, right? It's the idea here is that we make the work fun, we make it meaningful, we make it fruitful and rewarding for everybody involved. It's not just a part-time job where they're clocking in and clocking out, but they're actually getting fulfillment out of the work that they're doing. And as Travis alluded to as well, I did write a book about it. It was published last March called Culture is the Key: How to Unlock Massive Profits and Freedom. In this book, I did over 20 different interviews with different entrepreneurs and business owners that I've come to know over my career. So each chapter is a story from a different entrepreneur. And there's a lot of real estate connections that I have in here. Spring has a chapter in here. Chapter 2, Brian Charlesworth, the founder of Sisu, is right here on chapter 14. A couple other industry leaders and influencers, but it's also got a wide, diverse range of industries, from military to mergers and acquisitions to the service industry, hospitality, a lot of stories here. And then the last two bonus chapters were actually some stories from our own experiences. So a lot of secret sauce in here, also a lot of diverse understanding of how people use culture to bring in the right people, keep them happy. Happy employees make happy customers. And then as a business leader and entrepreneur, ultimately the goal is to create more freedom in your life. And so we do this a lot of different ways. It starts with our purpose. We say that our purpose is to move people forward. It's very obvious that we're moving people forward through your sales pipeline, right? Because you got these cold leads and we're calling them and warming them up and moving them down the pipeline. But the work and the impact that this makes on the people that we get to partner with, it opens up a lot of doors for them as well. It creates a lot of leverage, creates a lot of freedom. Now you can focus on high income producing activities. Now you can focus on the now business without having to worry about the other leads falling through the cracks. And then with our callers, that's another person that we're involved with here in our organization. It moves their life forward as well. So again, the experiences that they create, the talents that they develop will open up many doors for them in the future. And it's really exciting. We've got graduation's coming up in a month and a half. We have about 5 of our callers that are going to be graduating. A couple of them are actually sticking around with us full time and moving to our sales team. And then several others already have multiple job opportunities that they've already accepted while their peers are scrambling to find some employment, right? The job market hasn't been the greatest as of late, but our callers, we're proud to say that in a day and age when a college degree doesn't necessarily mean what it maybe used to, that all of our callers are graduating, walking the stage with multiple job offers. And so we get to be involved in so many people's lives, our leads, our clients, and our team members, in helping move their life forward. And so that's our purpose, is to move people forward. And so we do this a lot of different ways in our organization. We have individual contests, we have team contests. We secret shop our callers all day long and grade them on their call quality. We kick off each shift with a huddle. We have skill building workshops where once a month we'll come in after hours and do a little bit deeper dive on a specific skill in the conversation. So last month we did a workshop on active listening. Next month we're going to do a workshop on the seller script. Sometimes we do workshops on tonality, right? The importance of tonality in your scripting and your conversation. And so again, just diving deeper and giving people more attention to move their skills forward as well. And then masterminds. Masterminds was really how I founded Rokrbox, right? Buying my way into some of the most prestigious rooms in the industry and hearing what people were struggling with and what they were doing to help solve those problems. As soon as I had my first handful of employees, I thought, why not introduce the mastermind concept to my business as well? A lot of top agents spend a pretty penny to go get themselves in a room of other people that they can share ideas with. We have masterminds internally at Rokrbox as well. And so once a month, we'll take the whole team out to dinner and we'll say, what are we doing well? And what do we need to improve on? And then we'll start brainstorming solutions to those problems. And so the result there is it creates a lot of buy-in from the team. How many of you have ever felt really lonely as a leader of an organization, right? At the top, there's not as many people that can relate to you. Maybe you feel all the pressure of always having to make the right decision, having to come up with all the ideas. Well, a mastermind is a really great way to empower your people to help come up with these ideas with you. And then when you give people that opportunity, you empower them to bring ideas to the table, and then you roll with it, like you actually put some of their ideas into action. It creates a ton of buy-in. It's not just you coming back and say, hey, this is the way we're doing things now. It's, hey, here's an opportunity. What ideas do we have? That's great. Let's put that into action now. And now your whole team is buying into it because they're seeing that they got to be a contributing member of those ideas. So masterminds are something that are incredibly important to us as well. And then also core value recognition. I say this last, but it really is the foundation. Those core values. We have 5 core values here at Rokrbox that help lead and guide our decisions and our actions on a daily basis. And so we recognize them every single day in our huddle. We have 3 huddles a day. Core values get recognized. They get recognized at our workshops. They get recognized at our masterminds. And we even have an end of the year awards ceremony where we recognize some of our core value pillar winners of the year. So I've got a lot of experiences to share from here today, so I'd love to just kind of dive in now to some Q&A and learn a little bit more about where you feel most stuck in your business right now. One of the mastermind groups that I'm a part of is Entrepreneurs Organization, and one of the foundational pillars that we all agree on is that we only speak from experience. So that's my goal today. Again, I've been doing this for a while. We've had successes, we've had failures, and so my goal is to share from some of my own experiences, some tools and some tips and some tactics that can help you move your business forward as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor now for the Q&A and see what questions you guys have. Where do you feel most stuck in your business right now? Is it hiring? Is it training? Is it retention? Is it motivation? Is it moving your people forward up within your organization? Where are some areas that you feel most stuck in your business right now? And
We
Travis, I'll
do.
let you go ahead.
We do have someone up at the mic. Monica, if you can unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question. Anybody else, just go ahead and drop it in the chat, or you can actually get in line behind that mic as well. It might be possible. I'll just shoot her a message too. A question.
While you're doing that, Bailey, I'll kind of just read off some because I was taking some notes, Josh. Just like some things I loved about what you were saying. It hit me just like showing up to events and learning about the pain points, right? So if you're a team leader, you could literally do this to help you with your recruiting, right? So when you talked about the cultural tools and the observation, I think like as a team leader, you might not be hiring an ISA, but you're recruiting agents every day, or at least you should be to grow. How many times? What's your retention? Are agents coming in and then you're turning over agents because they're not a good fit for the team? What if you brought them in and had them observe what a day in the life of a top producing agent in your company looks like, so they know what to expect when they get there from a workload standpoint? So I love what you're talking about because it's so applicable to not just hiring an ISA or not just hiring staff, but also recruiting agents and building your company. Is Monica able to?
She doesn't mention anything. Oh, she said she clicked the mic. You're good.
I have 2 questions actually, Josh. And if anybody
Yeah.
else has questions, they can either put them in or put in. But how often do you do that mastermind with your team? Like how often is that like a quarterly thing, a monthly thing? What's that look like?
It's varied from time to time throughout our business, but right now we are definitely in a very exponential growth mode. Last year we redeveloped our tech stack, which increased our production and decreased our cost to our clients. So we've been experiencing a lot of growth. And when you're in that growth mode, we like to do it once a month. We have at times done it like every other month, and then sometimes we've done it like every 6 weeks because we were finding that monthly was just too frequent. But where we're at in our
Yeah.
business right now, we've gone back to monthly masterminds, and so it's not required. It's not paid. I do bribe people with free food. So there's a Mexican restaurant here in the parking lot, and we go out there and we do family style fajitas. And so I always say, no matter anybody's income level, never underestimate the power of free food. I mean, we saw that just at the event last week, Travis. They were giving out free sandwiches to get people to come into the breakout room. So we bribe them with free food. It's off the clock. It's voluntary, and in that way, we can also see who's really going out of their time to invest more in the business with us. So it's a monthly event, and then it's well worth the paid dinner to get the feedback and get the buy-in from the team.
And Josh, is it structured? Is it the same kind of softball questions, or is it just wide open? Like, what's your structure with that?
Yeah, good question. So the way we structure it, I actually have a little excerpt that I like to read, and I basically introduced the mastermind concept as kind of really the foundation for how Rokrbox was created. It was through the mastermind experience that I learned all these people were having the same common frustration I'm like, man, I got to figure out how to solve that. And then again, when we had our first handful of employees, we had 4 or 5 people on a common mission. We all knew that our mission was to call these leads and find hot opportunities. But once you have more than one person like aiming at the same target, you're going to find different ways to do it. And so once we started noticing those inconsistencies in our business, I thought, okay, well, the best way to get feedback would be to just invite everybody to come together and say, what are we doing well and what do we need to improve on? And so that's really the structure of it. Is we start the meeting, we read a little excerpt about how the mastermind concept was originally founded by, in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He kind of
Yeah.
introduced the mastermind concept. And then, we basically let people know, because every time we're doing a new mastermind, we have a couple new people and we say, hey,
Mhm.
this isn't a meeting. This isn't like a top down dump of information where, I used to work at Best Buy when I was in college, and once a quarter we'd have a quarterly company meeting, and they'd pop a DVD in the TV and it would be like, here's all the new things that we're doing, right? That's very top down. This is the opposite.
Right.
It's bottom up, right? It's everybody's in the trenches. People have all this experience each and every day. Plus, we also come from different backgrounds and diverse cultures and different work experiences. And so we pull all the ideas from the bottom up. And so we read the excerpt about the mastermind, introduce people to the concept. We then open up the floor for recognition of living by the core values. So that's always a great way, like when your peers recognize each other, it really is an outstanding way to elevate the culture. So we just open up the floor and say, who wants to recognize anybody for living by the core values? And that lasts several minutes because people would just start throwing out all this feedback and shout outs. I want to recognize so and so for having fun while being the best. And I want to recognize so and so for possessing the mindset of a champion. And once all that feedback kind of gets put out on the table, then we go around and everybody has an opportunity. They all stand up and they say, hey, here's one thing I think that we're doing really well right now and I'm most proud of. And then this is the biggest area of opportunity or the biggest inconsistency or something that I see people doing 2 different ways. And I don't know which way is the right way. Or maybe this process I've noticed takes 8 different steps. Is there a way to lower that to maybe 3 or 4? And so then everybody gets their feedback. We write it down. So we have a chart that have all the positives, and then we have a chart that has all the negatives. And then after everybody goes through and gives their feedback, then we just go through. We recognize everybody for achieving the positives, and it's cool because a lot of times the positives are something that showed up as a negative from a previous mastermind. Maybe someone was saying, "Hey, we're inconsistent with this." We created a new action idea or a new strategy. We implemented it, and by the time we have the next mastermind, people are standing up and going, "Yeah, we're doing that really great because we focused on it and we made some changes." And so once we recognize all the positives, then we start going through one by one all the opportunities. And the thing is, you'll notice some opportunities will get mentioned 2, 3, 4 times. And so we tell people, hey, your idea doesn't have to be unique, right? If you're echoing somebody else's idea, that means it's obviously a pretty big deal. So we circle all the ones that have been mentioned multiple times, and then we just go through and we just open it up to the floor and we say, this is a brainstorming session. There's no wrong ideas, right? There's no stupid questions. This is just a brainstorming session. No decisions are actually going to get made right now. So let's have a free flow conversation of what we think that we could do. And so we'll go through and we'll just throw out a ton of ideas on how we can start prioritizing and solving some of these problems. And then it doesn't truly become a new action item until we roll it out in our daily huddles. And so we'll typically walk away from a mastermind with anywhere between 3 to 4 new action items or new, standards or best practices, and then we decide on them as a leadership team. So our leadership team meets after that, and we say, "Hey, we had this idea that we're going to do that. Can we execute that? Can we do it right now? Is there any other steps that need to be involved?" And then we all agree on it, and then it actually becomes real when we roll it out in our huddles and we say, okay, great. This is the feedback we got from the mastermind. We're going to start doing this differently now. This is another feedback item we got from the mastermind. We need to remember to do this, right? So sometimes it's not necessarily a new idea. It may just be something that we were already doing. We just needed to focus on. And so once we go through, we do the brainstorming session. The way we close it out is what I call ahas and oh yeahs. So then we go around the table and we ask everybody, what was your biggest aha or your biggest oh yeah? And aha is something that you just learned today. And so they'll say, hey, I learned this. And we'll give them a big 1, 2, 3 aha. And then, or if somebody has an oh yeah, it's something that we already knew, they were just reminded of in the mastermind. And so someone might say, oh, I had a big oh yeah. We used to do this and we kind of lost focus on that. And that's really important. We need to start doing that again. We'll give them a big 1, 2, 3, oh yeah. And then at that point, we kind of conclude the mastermind and, close out the tab and head home. So it's
I like
pretty
it.
good, consistent routine.
Josh, you and I were on a call earlier this month, and you had mentioned kind of some smaller ideas of it was almost like a team building. Just instead of something monetary for people to try and work towards, it was something else. And I think that was kind of a huge deal because a lot of the teams, they can't do a monetary value, or it's just something little that they can have their agents kind of compete with each other on and just kind of make it fun. So kind of explain one of those examples, because I thought that was huge.
Yeah, we've always got 2 contests going on every month. We've got an individual contest and we've got a team contest. And so the goal behind a contest is to make sure that everybody is showing up every day and still feels like they're in the race. Like, we don't want it to be skewed in a way where 5 days into the month, one team's winning and the other team has no chance to win. And so through our leadership meetings every single month, we look at all of our metrics, we look at all of our numbers, and we say, hey, where's an area that maybe we could use a little bit more focus on? Because at any time in your business, I mean, you could create a list of 20 things that you do. And at any point in your business, you're probably going to be doing really well at a third of them. You might be doing, pretty okay with another third. And then there might be maybe a bottom third that you kind of lost focus on. And it just naturally cycles through the business. And so we go, okay, what is something that we need to focus on right now? And so then we'll build out a contest around that. So a lot of people ask us, like, are your callers making a commission? Do you take a piece of the commission when you close a deal? Like, how do you motivate people and get them incentivized to actually put their best foot forward? We don't do any of that. We pay them a flat hourly rate, but then we create a lot of meaning and purpose in the work by creating contests. So obviously through our hiring process, we're looking for those competitive type of individuals. And then each month there's always an individual contest going on. We call it the Top Gun of the Month. And so we have a scoring system for all of the results of our calls. Like, was it a live transfer? Was it a hot lead? Was it a long-term lead? Maybe did you identify a seller opportunity? Did you identify a lender opportunity? So all of these different results of the work that we do are scorecarded in a way where at the end of the month we have that Top Gun of the month. And so they're recognized individually, and that remains consistent each month. But then from a team perspective, we figure out what's a way to create more of a team contest where we can have a lot of fun and make sure that people are driving each and every shift. Maybe they're not going to win Top Gun of the month, but they're still in the race on the team contest. And so some of our best contests that we have is we'll sometimes do like a fantasy draft. So we'll have like 2 or 3 team captains, and they'll go through a fantasy draft and pick people to be on their team and come up with a fun, creative team name, sometimes a wacky mascot or something like that. And then we might record a certain metric to see which team's going to win. And then at the end of the month, we've got several different rewards that we give out. So we have like a big wheel in the office that you can spin that has different gift cards or swag or other things on it. We have some big dice that we roll in the office that sometimes will result in a gift card or a set of steak knives or a steak dinner. So there's an element of like skill, but then there's also an element of luck involved as well. So that way there's not a direct correlation between, like, if I force this person a live transfer, then I'm going to make an extra $2.50. Like, that's not correlated, but it's more of a team environment where if you put in your best effort, you sharpen your skills, there's a team element involved, and then maybe a little bit of luck on the end that will end in a result of some type of a prize. And then sometimes we'll also do like pairs where you'll just be like, we'll have a bunch of teams of 2. And so those 2 people are always competing with the other groups of 2 people. Sometimes we'll do it per shift. So we'll see which shift of the day won. Was it the morning shift, the mid shift, or the afternoon shift? And then the winners of the day go into a weekly drawing, and then we'll pull a name out of a hat, and they'll get some gift cards or some swag. And then sometimes we'll do a full team contest. So like in January, we put a really big focus on live transfers, and we wanted to beat our all-time record of number of live transfers in a month. And so we said, all right, guys, this is where we were. Let's see if we can get up here. Like, let's see if we can push that another 15, 20% higher than our previous monthly goal. And if we achieve that, then the whole team will go out for an outing. And so we actually achieved it in January. We got our most number of live transfers in a single month. And then we took the whole team out to Pop Stroke. I don't know if you have a Pop Stroke in your town. It's the Tiger Woods putt thing. And it's kind of like Top Golf or whatever, the one where you go to the driving range, but it's putt. So I feel like it's a little bit more approachable because not everybody can, swing a driver, but everybody can putt the ball. So there's a pop stroke here in town. We took the whole team out, had some putt, had some drinks and some food, and just a really fun time to get everybody together after hours, because we have a bunch of people on the team and they don't always cross paths with each other because our shifts are only 4 hours in length. So sometimes they may not see everybody all the time or every single week, especially given their class schedule. So it's a really nice time to be able to get the whole team to come together and just go out, do something fun. You know, the masterminds are fun, but it's still like there's a lot of business conversation and business focus. But those, you know, team outings we do a couple of times each semester. Those are always fun as well. And then again, they have to achieve it. You know, we're not just saying, hey, we're going to go blow a bunch of money at the putt place. It's like, hey, if we achieve this goal as a team, then as a team we will go and enjoy this benefit. And so that was a ton of fun. We just did that a couple of weeks ago. So just a good mix of contests and keeping it interesting and going from team to individual, to small teams, to big teams, just kind of keeps things interesting. And so we always know that it's working if people are all the way to the very end of the month driving results and driving their effort to get that winning
People are
contest.
naturally a little competitive, so it's kind of perfect on those little types of challenges.
Absolutely. Yep. We like to
So
keep them excited.
cool. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. Travis, I'll let you kind of roll it out from here.
Yeah, yeah. I got one more question, Josh. Something that
Yeah.
that hit me. One thing I love about your company is you're not only US based, which is great to say, you know, in terms of an ISA and making calls, but you guys are also in office based,
Hmm.
you know, and obviously you've mentioned all the stuff that you do. And you talk about the observation period. What do you see most commonly if someone self-selects that, hey, this isn't the right role for me? Like, is there like a reason, or what's the most common thing you see there?
Yeah, I mean, it's two different things. One is just like the guy Doug who went to the bathroom and just disappeared off the face
Yeah.
of the planet. We just never hear from him ever again. You know, it's
Oh,
like, you know, they're not really giving us any feedback. But typically, when someone's looking for a job, they're probably looking for multiple jobs, and they've made it through our hiring process, so they're probably pretty qualified at getting other job offers. And so we really want them to come in, and we say, this is your interview of us. We want you to ask as many questions as possible. And so sometimes people will go through that routine. And my guess is that, you know, a lot of times people in school are looking for some part-time work, and like the stereotypical lazy part-time job is, I'm going to sit at the front desk and do my homework, you know, while I'm on the clock, and then when someone walks in, I, you know, shove my homework to the side and I help them out for 15 seconds, and then I go back to doing my homework. Like, that's the stereotypical lazy part-time job in college. That's not what we are. We're the complete opposite of that. So I think
right.
that some people probably come in thinking, oh yeah, I'm looking for an easy buck, you know, I'll do my homework while I'm on the clock, and this is clearly not it, so I'm out of here. And then the
Mhm.
other 20% is probably just you know, again, people will respond to the email. And so we send them an email that says like, hey, we hope that you enjoyed the experience. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the culture or the challenge or the skills or what you observed. And sometimes we'll just get back like a really short answer, like, yeah, I'm still interested. And so if we basically show people, hey, this is what we're all about. This is our heart. Our heart is on the table. This is who we are to the core. This is what's so important to us. This is the impact that this work is going to have on your life. You know, most of our employees graduate with multiple job offers, or they make more than their peers. If that's something that you're excited about, then join our tribe. And if they respond back with like, yeah, I'm interested, then it's like, we just don't feel like the enthusiasm is there. And we never want to force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. I mean, this is a voluntary exchange of people giving us their time and us giving them money. And so we want to make sure that there's fulfillment in that. We want to make sure that
Yeah.
that they're here for more than just a paycheck. And so some of those people we might just you know, say, hey, we filled the position with someone else who is more qualified, and just kind of, you know, see if they ever reapply later on down the road. But that's kind of what we're looking for. But the ones that we know are great, excellent members of the team, you know, they go home. We say, hey, you've got 24 hours to respond to this email, and like they go home, and 45 minutes later, they've already responded to the email, and they've got, you know, a 3 or 4 paragraph email talking about, I noticed this and I saw this, and you've got a wonderful family environment, and it's a highly competitive work environment. You know, successes are rewarded, and I like the gong ringing, and I like the contest, and I like the scoreboard, and I like the high score banners. And so they see all this stuff, and they're like, wow, this is awesome, man. This is more than just a part-time job. This is something that I want to be a part of. And I feel like we're all cut from the same cloth here. This is going to be a great organization that I'm want to be a part of. And then the other thing is too, I also get feedback from all my team members. So I'm not really normally a part of the observation. I still do interviews, personal interviews, and hand select all the talent to get them to the observation. But by the time they get to the observation, they're typically on the floor with a handful of our employees. And then after they're done and they leave, I go out to the floor and I say, "Hey guys, what you think? Like, how'd you feel about that person?" And they already know what it takes to be successful here. And so they'll give me great feedback. And so I already kind of know, I kind of have the vibe from my team about what the email is going to look like, because some of them will be like, "Oh, that guy was like asking a ton of questions. He was super engaged," and then and you can hear in people's language when people are like, future pacing themselves, like, "Oh, so what's my training going to look like when I start here?"
Right.
How many shifts do I have before I get on the phone? What's the orientation process look like when they're already having that conversation with us when they're in the observation? We can tell that they're future pacing themselves as a member of our team. Versus sometimes I'll go and I'll say, "Hey, what'd you think about that candidate?" And they're like, "They were kind of quiet. They didn't really ask many questions." Or sometimes we'll try to bring in multiple people for an observation at the same time, and then you can kind of see who stands out. Is one of them asking a lot of questions and really engaged, and maybe the other one's just kind of sitting there a little quiet, a little timid. That typically doesn't work for an ISA, someone who's quiet and timid.
Right.
And so again, I'll get the feedback from the team, and then it's almost a direct correlation between the feedback that they give me and what that email looks like when it comes in. Either it's not going to show up, or it's going to be very short-winded, or it's going to be this just email just oozing with excitement about wanting to join our tribe here.
Good stuff, Josh. This was a great one and went out. I'm excited to send this out, not only to existing partners, but people I've been in conversation with about Easy Home Search. But if people want to find out more about Rokrbox, Josh, where can they find you? Where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a couple more slides here for you. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. But if you want to learn a little bit more about Rokrbox, about how we can help you free up your time, close more deals, create certainty with your investment on your marketing dollars, scan this QR code right here. It'll take you directly to our calendar, and you can book a free, no obligation consultation. We time block 30 minutes, but you can take up as much time as you need to. We'll walk you through the process. We'll actually let you listen to some phone calls so you can hear what the live transfer process looks like, and just kind of give you a peek behind the curtain as to how we can call these leads and hand off more warm opportunities. So just scan that QR code right there. Or if you just want to talk to me directly, you can shoot me an email. It's josh@rokrbox.com. But this is your fastest path to getting some answers on how we can call some of your leads and help you close some more deals.
Awesome job, Josh. And I just dropped a link for Easy Home Search. So if you're interested in lead gen that also, partners with Rokrbox, it's partnerwitheasy.com. I put that link in the chat. If you go there, like I said, full county exclusivity. Many or most of our counties include Rokrbox. So if you click that link, it'll give you information about Easy Home Search, and then it'll connect you with somebody from our sales team. Josh, it's been awesome getting to know you the last, I say, 48 hours. I feel like I've talked to you a ton, including today, and really appreciate your time today on Winning Wednesday.
Absolutely. I also promised that free gift, so here it is. Culture is the key: how to unlock massive profits and freedom. It's $20 on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, but you can get your free copy today. Got another QR code. If you scan that right there, it's going to take you to a form. Just fill out your name and your mailing address, and I'll put a copy of this in the mail for you, free of charge. Not even going to charge you shipping and handling. What a deal.
Awesome.
Once again, thank you, Josh, and I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of the organization here.
Yeah, we love it.
Yes,
We love
sir.
it. Thank you very much. We will have Shut Up and Dial in 2 weeks, April 1st at 12 Eastern. We'll see everybody later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Take care.